Four siblings take a trip through a closet to a magical world of kings and queens, where they encounter danger and their destiny.
Welcome to the Walt Vault with
Michelle,
Andre,
Luis,
and me, Emily. We're a family-friendly podcast where we pick a new Disney movie each week. We watch it, share our thoughts, and then relate it to pop culture, fandoms, and anything else that pops into our heads. Enjoy!
hello and welcome to the Walt Vault, episode 66. What's up, guys?
Stacey says.
Can you sing like the Route 66 song, please?
Get your kicks on Route 66.
The best part was that Andre looked at me like, you expect me to know what that is?
Cool boy lyrics.
I don't know country songs.
Route 66. Yeah.
Yes,
I didn't mean those
episode
kind of roots.
66.
Route 66. I missed that. I don't know.
I like how Luis is saying no, but not into his microphone. That's what he said, though.
Typical.
No. Despicable. So, Luis actually picked our movie of the week. What did you pick, Lou?
Oh, that's right. I finally was able to pick a movie in about a year and a half of a podcast.
It only took you 66
Whoa.
episodes.
It was The Chronicles of Narnia. The
Keep
Lion, the Witch, and the Closet.
That's it.
Yes.
2005's The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, a.k.a. the longest title on Earth, I think. This is
I don't know.
It's a very long
Crouching
title.
Tiger, Hidden Dragon was pretty long.
That's only like 6 words.
That's why they
Four
just
words?
they make bold and really big Narnia, and the rest of the title's just like the tiniest print ever. You can't even read
yeah,
it.
on the poster. That's
So
true.
When I was a kid, I was like, yeah, we're gonna go see Narnia. You know,
Narnia.
Narnia.
We're going to say the Narnia.
Narnia. But no, it's Chronicles. Directed by Adam. Oh, directed by Andrew Adamson. I almost called him
And
Adam
the music
Adamson.
was produced by Dr. Dre. It's The Chronicles.
Can't confirm that. That's the Chronic.
I did say it like that.
Slightly
though.
different. The Chronic
like
of
that me
Narnia.
and Lou are on the same wavelength today.
Yeah.
Because you're awake. What a concept. Yeah, that too.
So yeah, this movie came out in 2005.
Came out in 2005, which meant Harry Potter was still in theaters as well. So this was a competing Harry Potter fantasy movie.
Yes.
I remember that as a kid.
Well, in fact, this movie almost didn't get made. The C.S. Lewis didn't want to sell the rights to the Chronicles of Narnia for television and movies because he was like, nah, it's gonna look dumb. You're gonna put a man in a minotaur suit or whatever, and it's gonna look stupid.
Well, because didn't he say that like in the 50s?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So can you imagine what that would have looked like in the 50s?
Yeah,
I agree with
saw
him.
the old
In the
Doctor
50s,
Who.
this movie would have not been good.
Big old
I know what it
stoop.
looked like. So yeah, he didn't want any of that. So I think the rights didn't get sold until the 90s when his estate finally saw like some test footage of like CGI animals roaming around. They were like, all right, CS would have approved of this.
So he wasn't as bad as that one girl from Mary Poppins.
Well, he died, so I don't
Yeah, no,
necessarily know.
he was already dead
Yeah.
at that
Oh,
point.
okay.
But he did leave the rights. So, I mean, I think it was more like, it ain't happening while I'm alive, y'all.
Right.
Probably in his will and testament, too.
Yeah,
Like,
probably. But, you know, his estate, which I think was handled by one of his sons or grandsons or something like that, they gave approval after they saw how good it could look in theater.
Well-
and also Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings coming out
Yeah.
showed that a big epic fantasy movie could be a success.
And honestly, I'm always down for fantasy movies. That's like my genre of choice. It's my book genre of choice. Those are things I like to see. So I will give my first impression that I loved this movie as a kid. I don't think I saw the rest of them. Like, I think I only saw this one. And I loved it as a kid. So I upon this viewing, I was honestly just looking for, is it still going to hold up, or is this going to seem like non-magical to me? And first impression was that I feel like it held up pretty well. It did a good job. I very enjoyed it. Andre, first impression.
Yeah, agreed. Basically, like I had seen it when I was younger, and I think I enjoyed it. I had read the books, and I think I had seen like an old TV movie or something like that too. But but I couldn't remember the plot or anything like that. And yeah, as Michelle said, it does hold up. It's a good story. It had good CGI. There was good performances in it. I was thoroughly happy.
All right, my first impression, I remember reading this book like in 7th grade.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think I did too.
Yeah, so I remember liking the book.
AR.
Yeah,
AR
seriously.
points.
I excelled.
AR points up the.
One book, 30 points, you're done.
That's right. Why do you
Boom.
think I was reading that Harry Potter
yeah.
business? No, but seriously, read this. I remember enjoying it. I remember very specifically being confused about Turkish Delight, so I'm very can't wait to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I looked it up. Not excited about Turkish Delight. Anywho.
Oh, interesting.
But I don't know if I watched the movie because there was like a 15-minute segment that I remember, and then nothing else do I remember.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe
Maybe
it
you
was
saw a
on
clip.
TV
Yeah.
and I saw, watched a little bit and then they turned the channel or something. But so this is brand new to me. Point being, really liked it. I really liked it. I have major issues, but I really liked it
Right.
too.
I have like one issue, but we'll get there. Luis, first impression upon this viewing.
Growing up, I loved this movie as a child. I loved it more, I would say, as a child than I did this last time I watched it. But I do want to give a shout out to another person who is involved in the big Narnia fandom, my mother. My mother,
Oh.
watched this movie plenty of time in English, and she loves Narnia.
Well,
Nice.
you have to explain why it's important that she's watching it in English.
She doesn't know English.
She speaks Spanish.
She only speaks Spanish, but she freaking
But
loves
she
it.
watches Narnia in English. Very
She
interesting.
digs Aslan, I guess.
Apparently, she likes Aslan.
Ashland.
Aslan.
There's
Why
a
are you
street.
saying it like that?
There's a street in Fresno, right by where I used to live, and it was Ashland. It was ASHLAN, and every time I pass it, I would go Ashland.
You make
The
me think of
true king of
Affleck.
Narnia.
That too.
So I guess
Bird of Narnia.
I have a funny story about the
Narnia?
name. No, the name Aslan. Aslan. There was
I say it weird every time.
Aslan.
Should I say it with a Z? Aslan?
Azog.
Aslan.
Aslan.
Okay, I don't know, but I remember when
Affleck.
I was in middle school, we had a kid who came over from Turkey, and his name was Aslan. And then we watched this movie, and so people just
That was your
like-
funny story.
yeah. I never heard the name Aslan before, and so then there was a lion named Aslan, and then there was Turkish Delights, and he was from Turkey, so it was, it's just a big coinky dink.
The melting pot that is the Central Valley.
So Aslan is a Turkish word meaning lion.
There you go. So his name was Lion.
Yes.
Well, that makes sense
Boom.
because he
Aslan?
is a lion. Which I mean,
He is a lion.
He a
I
lion.
know that Aslan
He
is a
ain't
lion.
Oh, that was a good pun, Louise.
He ain't lying about what he is.
We obviously all know that Aslan is a lion, but
Oh, what's Aslan again? I missed that.
a
What is he?
lion.
A
He's a
lion?
lion. Okay, go. Andre, take it away.
Hold on. Where were you going with that?
It don't matter. We'll get to it.
No, she was just gonna say that they talk about Aslan throughout the movie a lot.
As he's like a human because he's a king.
Well, they don't necessarily say that, but they also don't say what he
Yeah,
is.
They didn't say what he is, and so I thought they were just going to be a lot more surprised when they saw him and he was a lion, but they weren't.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
they really rolled
You
with
mean
the
the
punches.
kids just were like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
you mean the kids that have been hanging out with talking beavers the whole time aren't going to be surprised
Yeah.
that he's not human?
It was only brought up like once that like, hey, that's an animal and it's speaking out loud. Oh
Yeah.
well. Then they
Well,
Yeah,
the
they
fact
kind of
that
went
they
with it pretty quickly.
yeah.
All right.
They were. Well, I mean, they weren't that surprised that they went through a wardrobe either. They
Yeah.
were just like,
Hey,
"Wow, hide and go seek is
trees
cool."
aren't supposed to be here.
Boom.
I
Right
guess
past
once
the
they
coats.
went into the forest, they're like, whatever.
Yeah.
We'll go with it.
That's where some of these little issues come in. But let's take it back. We're in England, and there's a war going on.
Which I didn't remember that it started.
World War II.
War. Yes.
So they are getting bombed. Luis just put a 3 in my face, and I almost said World War
Nah,
III.
I'm joking. Sorry.
Ridiculous. So as we know, during this war,
London
a lot
Blitz.
of them sent their children out to the countryside, or
Luis goes when we're watching it. He goes, "Yeah, remember bed knobs and broomsticks? Same thing."
Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah.
Actually, you're right. It is the same. thing.
Blitzkrieg
Peter Pan.
Oh,
Yeah,
What?
Peter Pan 2. Oh, you never seen the second Peter Pan? It's the same thing. They're getting bombed in London. Anyways.
Which I gotta wonder, there had to have been a government program that fixed all of this to happen, because I can't just imagine you send your children off and wherever they end up, they end up.
Oh, no, they
I mean, they
had
all got on
people
a train
volunteered
together.
and stuff like that, So, okay, anyways.
Volunteered-ish.
So
Yeah.
they get
Voluntold.
sent to the countryside into a very giant house
The coolest place they could possibly ever have gotten
with
sent.
an old
Professor.
who owns the place, and he apparently just lives there by himself with his maid. So we're introduced to the 4 kids. So there's 2 girls and 2 boys, 2 sons of Eve and 2 daughters.
Yes.
I mean, yeah,
Two
2 daughters of Eve.
Daughters of Eve and Sons of Adam. We got
Yeah, that.
big boy Peter. We got
Big boy
big
Peter.
girl Susan. We got little girl Lucy, and we got Edmund the worst.
Edmund the worst.
Edmund, who I
big
hate.
I'm not gonna disagree with you there. Yes.
Not
so
even a little bit.
Susan
I wish.
and Peter are older, and they kind of try to look out for the others. But Edmund's like, I feel for him because I'm a middle child too. But he's also at that age where he's just kind of a jerk, So that's his personality.
He is the epitome of pure evil.
Whoa.
He was looking like, no, really, think about it. What child, unless they're absolutely pure evil, is just looking for something bad to do?
So, like,
He wrote on the. Never mind. We'll get to that.
in the very beginning, right? Their house is basically getting bombed, right? And they're all rushing out of the house, and Edmund runs back in to grab a photo of their father. And they're like, Edmund, you idiot, what are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. But, in that one instance, I feel for him. It's like, oh, man, he really misses his dad, and the whole war is happening to him as well as to his dad.
Yeah, and that's
so,
why he doesn't like Peter, because Peter's the oldest, and so Peter gets to say, and he doesn't. It's a maturity thing going
Edmund
on.
is acting out, but
I'm also not going to disagree with Luis. Like he's not a great little kid. I mean, I don't really know how little he is. He's a preteen, I would say, but
maybe
he's
about 12.
yeah, like that preteen age. Really, where it started getting the worst is where they're playing hide and seek in the house, and Lucy goes into the closet, aka the wardrobe. Which, as a kid, I really didn't understand what a wardrobe was, because we just had closets. And I didn't really know it was a place that you hung up all your coats and stuff like that.
It's a British closet.
Yeah.
I very vividly remember learning what mothballs were from the book. Because in the book, she goes into the wardrobe, and there's the distinct smell of mothballs. Like, what in the world is a mothball? Why are there
we don't have
moths in there?
mothballs
Because they
don't-
eat the coats.
Right.
Well, and like the wood,
Yes.
which we don't have either.
Yeah, no.
And we don't live in a place with coats.
Yeah, I'm like, I got a jean jacket. Does that count?
Get at it, Mom.
Fur
Put
coats.
mothballs in my jean
So
jacket
Lucy
pocket.
goes into Narnia. She backs up into the wardrobe, and Narnia is cold and wintry. And the moment I realized that Edmund was the worst was when he too went in the wardrobe and saw Narnia. And then when Susan and Peter asked him about it, he was like, nah, she's just a little kid. She doesn't know what she's talking
Rough
about.
City.
That was so... Woohoo! It hit me in my core too, because sometimes I love you, Nikki, if you're listening. But sometimes my older sister would lie about stuff like that too, and it sucks because
When you
they're
were
the
telling
oldest,
truth and she
you're
would
like,
just-
ugh,
Here's the
you
best
know.
part of
Credit
all
you.
that. Louise said that pretty much, Edmund was pure evil, and Michelle agreed. So Nikki, pure evil. Boom,
Pure
girl.
evil.
She won't
you-
disagree.
She won't disagree, but you know what? Me and Nikki have the same birthday, so we'll be evil together.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, is
What?
on March 20.
What?
It is on.
Well, I think this episode has premiered right after
Yes.
your
Point
birthday.
being,
Happy birthday, Emily.
Hey,
Happy
thanks.
birthday,
And Nikki.
Nikki.
And Mickey.
Happy birthday, Olivia.
So,
and
Oh
Olivia.
yeah, guys. By the way, we're joined by a new podcast baby.
She's just swinging in her swing.
She hanging
Yeah.
out.
FYI,
She's
we had a baby.
very fresh, very new baby.
2 under 2. Pray for us.
They're 2 for 2.
In case you didn't know, we
Yeah.
had a baby.
Had a new
Her name's
baby.
Olivia. She's in the podcast Baby Swing.
Mhm.
Swinging
The podcast toddler has been put to sleep.
by our voices.
By our lovely shrieks. Okay.
Yes.
So the point is
congrats
Edmund's
all
the
around.
worst.
So he's evil because of that? And
That's like what
you
sparked
forget,
it.
You forget the part where he's in cahoots with the evil witch.
Okay, yeah, we'll
Pastries?
get there. We'll get there.
So he's evil for the second part, but not for that.
Okay, so
Let's
can
We'll
we
get there.
pause for a second?
We'll get there.
Can we pause? I'm gonna just tell you my first problem with this movie because we're gonna get stuck on it if we do our chronological thing. We can't do the chronological thing because my first problem is that once they get into Narnia, the story slows down immensely.
Sure.
Because they have to go. Lucy has to get into Narnia 3 times before all of them are there.
Yeah, that part is a little
And
slow.
Holy Mother of Pearl, if it doesn't take a long time, which I get that that's how it happened in the book, but cinematically,
Yeah.
like, come on, let's
Yeah,
move
they
past
could've-
it.
They could have just
God.
been better at hide and seek. We would have had it done in one. You know.
That would have totally been fine. Like, the kids are off in another corner of Narnia, and she goes and sees Tumnus, and then they all go find Tumnus
Right.
or
Yes.
something.
Something like
Miss
that.
Tumnus.
But this is this is the part where I'm like, because it slows down so much that all the whimsy kind of gets like lost out of it for like a
Sure.
good 20-30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know
I'm
what I
not going to
mean?
disagree with you. And even I remember like being more scared of the White Witch. Like, yes, she's like evil. Like, we'll get to her because she's a pretty great character. But all of that whimsy in the beginning, yeah, is lost. Really until they meet they meet Santa Claus, I think, and then it kind of picks up again.
Another problem.
Okay, they meet Aslan, and then it kind of picks up again. So we can kind of skip that part.
The beavers are pretty sick, though.
Yeah.
The beavers and that poor little fox.
So
Babe.
Lucy comes
I
in. She meets Mrs. Tumnus.
know.
Lucy
Mr.
goes
Tumnus
out.
is a fawn. Lucy comes out. Lucy goes back in to see Mr. Tumnus. Edmund comes in, meets a dwarf that tries to kill him,
Right.
and the White Witch.
Edmund is. This is where
I need y'all to pause again. Do you know who the dwarf is?
Who?
he's the little person from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory who played all
Really?
of the Oompa Loompas. Yes.
And Louise was like, no, that guy was Indian. I'm like, look at his
He-
face.
he-
It's the same guy.
Yes, he is. His name
didn't know
is
that.
Kiran
seen-
Shah,
Have you seen the new Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? The
Not-
new meaning
not
of
the
one.
new
the,
one.
the Johnny Depp one.
Yes, the
No,
Johnny Depp
no.
one. It's my problem with that movie is that the Oompa Loompa is played all by the same guy.
Yes.
It's just like multiplied
Oh.
a million times,
Right.
and it's that dude.
Why
So it
give
totally-
jobs to 45 little people when we can just give them all to one? You know.
So it was hilarious when he was playing the same character in this movie.
Yeah.
Go ahead, keep going.
So we're introduced to the White Witch, who is played by,
Tilda Swinton,
a.k.a. Doctor Strange person.
the ancient one in Doctor
The
Strange. yes.
ancient
Oh,
one.
see, yes, you're totally right. But the first thing I said is, I go, Peter. And Luis is like, Peter? I'm like, yeah, it's the girl who plays Peter.
Peter?
He's like,
What?
what do you mean? And I was like, in Constantine. And he's like, you mean Gabriel? Gabriel the angel. I'm like, oh, that's what I said, Peter.
Peter.
Oh, see, no, I was definitely like, she's the ancient one from Doctor
Have
Strange.
you seen Constantine? Okay, well, she's like,
She's an angel.
she's a good character. She's a good actress.
She's a great
Okay,
actress.
she'd be playing some good characters.
I like Tilda.
All I
Swinton
know
a
is
lot.
when she was flinging her swords, I was like very reminded that she was the ancient one in Doctor Strange. Like her facial structure and everything is just made for fantasy movies, like in general. So I was very happy.
Well, because she plays this like weirdly androgynous character,
Yes.
even though she's usually like female, but she's
Yes.
Right.
like you can't.
But she
I
can go
told
any
Andre
way.
it's because
Ooh.
her eyebrows and her eyelashes are blonde too, and the way they did her makeup, they just put like almost like eye gloss on her eyelids, and it made her look creepier, but still like feminine and pretty. And I was like kind of freaked out by her.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But so the
Kinda?
the White Witch kind of seduces Edmund and is like, here's some Turkish delight because I have this cool dropper thing that I can make whatever you want to eat out of, and says, go back and bring your 3 other siblings.
And then you will be king, and they will be your servants.
And he was all about.
And he
that.
was like, "Oh yeah, let's
Like
do it."
He was all
immediately,
about that.
and that's,
Again, how is that not pure evil?
Oh yeah,
Why
absolutely.
did we have to wait till? his life
I
was a
want to
little child?
say it's a maturity thing because he's young and
So it's mature to want to enslave your.
your sibling? Like
he doesn't even know what Narnia is. He's like, cool, I found a fake world I can rule.
he
I don't
gets
know.
there. The White Queen and her minion dude are the first people he meets, right? And she she immediately gets him, like without
Turkish delight.
without any hesitation. Like, let me get you something to drink. Boom, hot chocolate. Let me get you something to eat. I like Turkish delight. Boom, Turkish delight. And then she's like, I have a whole room full of Turkish delight in my castle. He's like, what?
No, it really
I
reminds
love
me of
Turkish
like
delight.
Hansel and Gretel, and he like totally fell for it.
Yes.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Didn't you read that story, stupid? Okay.
Right?
Can I tell you before we go any farther what Turkish delight is?
Yes, please.
Because
Yeah.
it looked quite delicious.
It looked great.
What-
It looks
It looked like a bonbon
It looks like
bun.
a beignet with like a
Cream.
filling or whatever.
right? That's not what it is.
Oh.
You
Oh.
ready? Because
Yeah.
I looked it up and an alternative name
Uh-huh.
is locum.
Okay.
And
Ew.
Turkish Delight or locum is a family of confections based on a gel of starch and sugar. Premium varieties consist largely of chopped dates, pistachio, and hazelnuts or walnuts bound by gel. Traditional varieties are often flavored with rosewater, mastic, bergamot, orange, or lemon. So it kind of
So it's like a
like-
date.
It's like Jello.
it's jello-y.
It's nut
date.
Jello.
It's gelatinous.
It's almond Jello with powdered sugar on it.
top.
no
So you want to
thanks.
know how much I don't want that?
Ugh.
So much.
That, you know what?
I want a
didn't.
beignet though.
I
I
didn't-
think he's more evil for the fact that he likes Turkish
I
delight.
didn't
That's
think
what
I
I'm
could
saying.
think any less of Edmund until just now. That this is his favorite treat
That's
in the
your
world.
treat, bro.
Could have
Goodness
asked for a
gracious.
What about
Disneyland
Jammy
churro.
Dodgers? Like you're from England. Get
Could have
on
had
it.
anything.
Anything.
Turkish delight.
Well, gross. Anyways,
Now
Give
I
me
have
that
to know
gelatin.
if C.S. Lewis's favorite thing was Turkish delight, or maybe his enemies.
eventually, the four of them end up in Narnia. First, they got to talk to the old professor and blah, blah, blah. Throw a baseball through a window. But they're all four there. And so, what was I going to say? Molly. Her name's Sally, right?
No.
The little girl.
It's not Sally or Molly.
Lucy
It's
and
Lucy.
Susan.
Lucy, thank you. Lucy wants
Luis
to
over here.
Lucy wants to take them to go see Mr. Tumnus, but when they get to Mr. Tumnus's house, it's ransacked. Basically, Edmund turned Mr. Tumnus in because, you know, he's evil.
Edmund just been a rat.
He a snitch.
I'm just gonna throw it out there that he literally is the reason this whole story moves, and it's because he's ratting everybody out the
Yes.
entire movie.
Now,
Oh, the
to
entire
be fair,
movie.
Mr. Tumnus did some ratting himself in the
Oh.
very beginning. He lulled Lucy to sleep in a very creepy way, and then he like called the cops on her, but then he helped her escape. Like
Yeah.
soon as he made the decision,
He's
he went back on
scared.
it. Yeah, he made
You
a
know,
little
he's
scared
scared, just like the other people in the forest. But they meet a beaver, Mr. Beaver.
Oh yeah, not a badger, it's a beaver.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, he's a beaver.
They
His
end up
best
in-
friend
is
was a
a
badger,
badger.
but
Best
he
friend is
died.
the But
So
he died.
yeah, so he meets a beaver, and they go to the house, and the beaver, Mr. Beaver, tells them the story about the prophecy, which I kind of needed more of. Like, I remember from the book they actually like lay out the whole prophecy, but I like prophecies because I like Harry Potter and I like prophecies. So I wanted to like, I like,
Pretty sure prophecies have been around for quite a bit.
The
but
only
longer than
place
Harry
there's
Potter.
ever been a prophecy is in Harry Potter.
I
Luis.
just wanted
need
a
you-
longer prophecy. I get it that they're supposed to come and end the war.
It was really funny that it didn't rhyme.
But
yeah.
I needed like more backstory. Like even later on when they're talking about like the old magic and the way things are, the White Witch has this and Aslan has that. I needed more of that.
So there's
the deep magic.
the
Yeah, that.
sixth book in the Chronicles of Narnia
Sixth
series.
book.
The sixth book is a prequel to The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe.
Which apparently people read first.
Yes, so
To get all that
so
kind of
Lion, Witch,
backstory.
and the Wardrobe came out first, and then the other 5 books, and then The Magician's Nephew
Yes.
came out as the 6th book. But then in subsequent editions, they put The Magician's Nephew first because
To give all that
because it takes
backstory.
place chronologically first.
And I like that.
So in that book, the Professor Kirk or whatever, he's a young kid, and he discovers the way into Narnia and basically like builds the whole universe, because apparently Narnia is like an alternate universe in a bunch of alternate universes, and
Oh.
and this is one. So he helps like construct it. Aslan is constructed. The White Witch is constructed all together, and then that sets the course of events for the prophecy to begin. Yeah. I didn't read it, so that was just some
Okay.
Wikipedia
Oh, that was
knowledge.
helpful though. Okay.
But, yeah.
I think I'll read it because
I think I will too.
I was watching your hand go in circles, and I think that you hypnotized me while you were
But that's-
talking. Andre was making circles with his finger every time he said, and that's what
Circular.
makes that happen. And
But
circle.
but
and
that's him being there, the professor being there, is why humans are so important in Narnia's destiny and
which is actually
history.
very helpful to know because I kept thinking in my head, like, why does it matter if there's humans?
Right.
Like, there's no humans here.
Exactly.
Like, what's the big deal? It would have been nice to even have like a little tiny excerpt. I swear it could have been a sentence that said, "There was once a human here who changed the course of our destiny."
Right.
Like something like
Something,
that. Then I
yeah.
would have been like, oh, that
Oh,
makes
okay,
more
cool.
sense. Because why are we talking about sons of Adam?
I agree.
And,
I agree.
And daughters of Eve, yeah, exactly. So yeah, so that's basically the main crux of the prophecy is that the 4 kids, 2 sons of Adam, 2 daughters of Eve, will come and defeat the winter and become the kings and queens of Narnia once
And
again.
we'll be sitting on some thrones,
Yes.
y'all. Sitting
Game of
on
Thrones,
thrones.
man.
Boom.
You win or you die.
Winter's coming.
Yeah,
Um,
winter been
anyway.
here.
Winter been here for 100 years.
Stupid Santa Claus. Because
Oh,
that's
my
pretty
God.
much where we get to. Okay, the cool,
Well-
the witch is off doing witchy things.
She's after them.
Edmund goes to the castle.
Edmund goes and finds her
Like
she
an idiot.
deploys her wolves, which are actually really cool henchmen.
The wolves are like the smartest people in the whole movie.
The coolest thing are the freaking wolves. They go, and this is where I want to give props to the movie makers. The CGI on these animals is super good.
Is
Yes.
very good.
I mean, it's really good. Louis
Well,
and
and you
I
can tell they're going back and forth between like some real wolves and then it goes
Oh,
to
that's
CGI.
true.
So
Like I could see that, but the CGI was still very
Yes.
good.
in the scene where the wolves are ransacking the beaver's house, most of the wolves are
I would
real.
assume.
Almost
They looked
almost
real.
all the wolves are real except for a couple of CGI ones in the background. Except for their tails. All of their tails are CGI because the actual wolves that they hired for this movie, they were just having a grand old time and their tails were wagging. So they had to CGI their tails out to make them
They
seem more,
look too
more
happy,
fierce.
having fun.
That's hilarious. Happy wolves
Yes,
doing their happy,
happy
wolves.
wolves.
I like
But
that.
yeah, the CG looks really good for a
But like
2005 movie.
when they're talking and stuff,
Yes.
like I was not distracted.
It
And
looks
the reason
fantastic.
the reason I bring that up is right now on Netflix they have the Mowgli movie.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And
That other
I
Jungle
did
Book.
not want to watch it, but Luis made me. And long story short, the movie, I actually really like the storyline in comparison to other Jungle Book renditions that we
Okay.
know. The story was actually really good, but the CGI on these animals, like at least the first 20 minutes, it took me so much time to adjust to the fact that they looked like a CGI animal on a real background.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So for this to be 2005 and that to have come out last year, it's
Yeah.
kind of like I just wanted to give them that
Yeah.
like major props.
Right.
There's other problems with like the backgrounds and foregrounds in this movie.
Sure.
But that is time period problems versus like
Yeah.
just
It's
it
more
wasn't
time
done
period
well.
stuff, and
Yeah.
like even during the battle scene, which is very good, I thoroughly
was
enjoyed that.
fantastic.
Dope.
The animals don't look bad in there at all.
No.
Like
Yeah.
it looks very believable.
Yeah, and there's a lot of moving parts during that battle scene,
Yes.
and it all looks relatively
Which was
good.
my other thing about this movie. Like I know it's rated PG, but it's like borderline pretty violent.
Yeah, there's some
Oh,
some
for
definite
sure.
some definite violence
yes,
going on in this.
Definite violence. So
Well, and they straight up say like multiple times like kill him.
Right, yeah.
Like it's not like oh maybe you should get him. No, it's
Right.
like
Or
you
even, like,
straight up need to kill
90s
him.
cartoons where they were like,
Yeah.
"I'll destroy you."
Yeah,
no,
no,
it
we
wasn't
ain't
like
destroying
that. A lot of this movie reminded me of Lord of the Rings too. Like all the minions are just making all the all the weapons for battle.
Oh
I was
my
like, is
God.
this Lord of the Rings?
It was. I said that probably 20 times. Like, wow, this is Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter
Yes.
on a more childlike,
Kid-friendly
kid-friendly.
side.
And that's what I told
Absolutely.
Andre too. I said this is a great
Platform.
fantasy movie to like introduce your kids to when they're getting of age to
Yeah.
like be into that. You know
For
what I mean?
real.
Like, it's like definitely a good stepping stone movie. I might read the books. I'm off school for 2 weeks. I can do whatever I want. But
Michelle's pretending like she can go like on a
just go on a
month-long
bender.
vacation. Bye.
just gotta read some stuff.
But yeah, so apparently, like Chronicles of Narnia is a book series that
Kind of sparked fantasy.
well, not necessarily. I
Like,
mean,
like
Lord of the
these
Rings came out
movies that we know.
way before this.
Oh, it did.
Yeah,
Well, the movies. I mean, the books.
Lord of the Rings came out. The books came out before Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh,
Yeah,
But it's good to know that C.S. Lewis and J.R.
our token.
Tolkien were like friends, and
Yes.
they were like writing buddies at what,
Yeah.
Oxford?
I think so.
They were writing buddies. They were in the Inklings.
The
Oh.
Inklings, yes, yes, they were homies, and they were creating big fantasy worlds at a very
And
similar
neither
time
of which
together.
liked each other's fantasy world,
Right,
which is
yeah.
freaking
and
hilarious.
most fantasy world stuff has very, very similar themes and
But-
similar stuff.
There are other book series that play almost directly off of Chronicles of Narnia.
Really? Is that true?
The one that I read was
Don't-
the Magicians, which is a show on I think on Sci-Fi now, but it's kind of like grown up Harry Potter mixed with Chronicles of Narnia. Like a guy goes to Wizard College and then discovers this other world that he goes to by hopping into a tree, and then he comes out, and then there's these great animals that rule the kingdom, and there's an evil witch that has
Oh,
decimated
yeah,
it.
sounds about right.
And all that kind of
Sounds
stuff.
like, yeah, they just capitalized.
And then the other one that I haven't read, but I've heard is very good, is called His Dark Materials, which I don't really know much about, but I read that that's also very similar to
Well,
Chronicles of Narnia.
one of my favorite things about the White Witch is that I like her weapon, which I still quite don't understand where she harnesses her power from,
Oh,
because
like the wand thing?
we didn't get
Yeah.
these prequel
So
things.
she's got-
I thought she was turning them into ice at first, and then I realized like she's turning them into stone.
Stone.
Yeah,
Right?
it's kind of like
But they are
frozen
not
stone.
dead. It's kind of weird.
Yeah,
have a
they're
problem.
not dead.
I have a problem with her.
Yeah,
Okay?
it's her dreads.
No.
that's
She
my
actually had some.
She had like a cone in
I
there
said-
for sure.
I said she looks like if Elsa had just never left her castle and got all ratty dready up in there.
Yeah. No, well, I was going to say she had some sick hairstyles up in this. Like,
Yeah, she switches it up a fair amount.
Yeah, she working it.
Throws
but
the ice
here's
crown
my
in there.
problem. If she, I understand that her name isn't the White Witch, and they're calling her the White Witch because
Correct.
it's snowy and all of that. But like, she really is kind of like the elemental witch. Am I wrong? Because it starts all like icy and stuff, and she's turning them into ice stone or whatever.
Yeah.
But then like, once we get to like the sacrificial time, it's almost like she's like fire-y. And then
That's
like
true.
when they're on the battlefield, she's like earthy. Like, I don't know. Like, she literally is only white for the beginning. I'm not saying she has to be white the whole time, but like,
Yeah.
tell me it wouldn't have been cool if she was like riding in on a chariot that had ice coming behind
Well, I think
it.
they were
Yeah.
just saying that because it was like winter is like her thing. And then also, I mean, in the battle scene, a lot of her animals that are her minions are white. So like she has polar bears, the white tigers,
Yeah.
you know.
White minotaurs.
Yeah.
So in the books, her name is
It starts with a J.
Yadis, something like that.
I think it's Jadis because they did say it once.
I think
Yeah,
she
I
said
think they did say
Jadis, yeah.
So Jadis. So the name of the White Witch is Jadis, a French word meaning of old. Aslan explains that the witch practices the very deep old magic, but his magic is even older from before the dawn of time, back in the Professor Kirk days and whatnot. But yeah, so I guess she's not necessarily
Okay, so
the
she's
Winter
not like,
Witch.
she's not Snow Witch.
It was
is-
probably just like in the prophecy, like when she takes over,
She's
it's going to
old
be
magic
winter
witch.
for 100 years, and then someone will come, you
Yeah,
know.
Alright.
who prefers
Something
winter
like
for
that.
sure.
So then they meet Santa Claus.
Yeah, the
Emily, what's... I
The
didn't
kids-
realize...
the hell they meet Santa Claus for?
The kids
They
and
didn't
the
need to meet
beavers.
Santa
Thing
Claus, but
I've
I did
ever-
not remember that as a kid. I thought they just met a dude.
So I vividly remember them getting their weapons. I did not remember that it was.
I did
Well,
not
it's
remember it
probably-
was Santa Claus
Santa.
at
They
all.
never once said Santa
No,
Claus.
they didn't.
So as a kid, you probably
Well, she did. She's all Santa.
no, she didn't say the word
I don't
Santa.
think. I think I said
Oh.
Santa when he showed up.
Yeah.
Oh, and I did think they said like there was never. I thought there wasn't Christmas here, and
That
then
is
it's like
what they
Yes.
said.
Yeah. So they talked about Christmas not
but they
happening.
never once said Santa. But it was freaking Santa.
Yeah.
that was
like-
Santa.
Saint Nick. Narnia. Saint Nick.
I'm so mad.
So he's a human, right? Where he been at? Was he frozen? And then
He's not
when
human. He's
when they showed
magic,
up-
I guess.
I guess. All right.
You know what? I'm gonna read this first book, and he's gonna be one of the other main
Right.
magical beings.
Yeah.
Doing nothing at the North Pole, next to Elsa's castle. Stupid. Stupid.
Santa.
The good thing though is at
Stupid.
least he gives worthwhile gifts. Because
Yes.
I swear to God, if he came out with a teddy bear, I was gonna punch my TV.
Yeah, I was like, so she's got that healing elixir thing that like Hermione had.
Yeah, Lucy gets
And
some
then-
magic potion, some healing potion.
And then Susan gets some arrows because she's like the first Hunger Games
Those
person.
never miss.
And then he gets, sword and a
Peter gets the sword and shield. He's a
'cause
Gryffindor boy.
No, I was gonna say because he's like OG Prince Philip. Like I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, that too.
Prince
OG
Philip.
Prince Philip.
Yeah, they
Prince
got
Peter.
very traditional fantasy weapons for
And
sure.
Edmund gets nothing because he's the worst.
No, he got Turkish delight.
I hate at the
That's
end
right.
when they call him Edmund the Just. I'm like, no, he ain't.
I said the same thing.
I was
like-
so mad.
I was like, all of a sudden.
Oh.
All of a sudden, he's the Just. Or when he comes back and Aslan's like, it's in the past. We don't have to discuss it. And Andre was like, no, they need to talk about it. He needs to apologize.
Yeah, I
Like,
didn't even say I'm sorry for betraying you and having
They
wolves
know
sent after
nothing
you.
about
and-
familial problems.
they're like, we just want our brother back. I'm like, you guys could
Alright.
take him. Like, they're saying he was going to die. I was like, well, you messed up.
we didn't
sir.
need you for this prophecy, Ed. I swear. Oh.
So
and
stupid.
he's also
Sure,
like
3 is better than none.
and he's also super stupid because there's like this scene where they're on the river and the fox is like coming and trying to steer them away and Edmund's just like, well, he said something about the stone, and I'm like, Edmund,
The
you're
fox is ready to
dumb.
sacrifice his own life to make sure that the witch doesn't get any information. And then Edmund just stomps all over it, and then the white witch takes
and
his
then they
life
kill the
anyway.
fox anyway. Yeah.
Hold on, you guys didn't get the fact that Edmund was trying to save the fox?
Yeah, he was. That was like his first good moment.
Yeah.
But
But he's still dumb.
it was fruitless.
That was fruitless, but I mean, he didn't know any better.
Right,
It
yeah.
was just in that point.
Sure.
I don't know.
It was just in his
Quote,
actions.
unquote. He was hoping to redeem himself so he could get some more Turkish delight.
I also have to say
Lies.
that
Another bad
I
move for
think,
Edmund.
I think the worst moment of the witch was right there. Like after that happens, she kills the fox. She looks at Edmund. She smacks him across the face, and he like kind of holds his face like, ah. And then she like gently puts her hand on him and is like, "It's okay. Choose your side." And I was like, "Oh, she's freaking creepy."
Oh, yeah.
Like she's got like multiple personality disorders.
Well, it's funny too because I was reading like an article that she was commenting on for the witch itself, and I guess she was saying that her approach to playing this witch was to be as unpredictable as possible because kids are most like unnerved by unpredictability.
Yeah.
And because she was saying that like she grew up with like watching what do you call it, Green Witch with the hat.
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz.
I was gonna say Wicked.
Green
That
Witch with
is
the hat.
awesome. Green Witch with that. She was saying that like that didn't creep her out as a kid because
Yeah.
She's just
she-
pure evil.
she was just evil, and it was like predictable to see her be evil
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
and to cackle.
Mhm.
But she was saying that it's more scary to her or as a kid to see a character that would go back and forth like almost, who knows, are they gonna like
Right.
be pissed off or are they gonna like freak out?
At one point, Edmund, when he first ditches the kids to go to the White Castle, he shows up and the White Queen's like, "Oh, you're here. Let me ask you a question. Are your sisters deaf?" And he's like, "No." He's like, and is your brother dumb beyond words? He's like, well, I think he is, but I don't think so. It's like, then why aren't they here? How come you didn't bring them? And she like smacks him. It's like, oh man, this lady is crazy.
and you're like, that was scary.
Yeah.
Like that's the good stuff.
Mhm.
right
Yeah,
there,
but she's
where-
such a good actress too that I was like, that was the perfect person.
Oh
for
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Well, and her like we were talking about, her face is so
But her voice is ethereal.
You can't tell, is she being compassionate or
Yeah.
is she just being like straight up psycho?
She's
like,
an
who
otherworldly
knows?
being.
I'm pretty sure that she was around. when this dark magic was
she brought a winter of 100 years upon.
Tilda Noen.
She cray cray. dude.
Okay, she
cray
been
cray.
around. She is the old. What is she called in Doctor Strange? The old
ancient
The ancient one.
She is the ancient one. All right.
Exactly.
She's hella good in that too.
So these
scary.
dreadlocks are fake.
Yeah, so
Because she really balled under there with her sling ring. Okay.
once they find out that they're at the stone table, they all end up there. So they go to the stone
They all
table.
end up at the
They
stone
meet
table.
Aslan, who is a lion. when he came out of the thing,
tent?
the tent, Andre was all Mufasa, and then when he was like running through the field, it's like shut up. That's what he was doing the whole movie.
Well, at least you got some musical entertainment.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's a
It would have
lion.
been funny if just one of the kids were like, "I was a lion."
Yeah, it bugged me that they weren't like shocked.
Yeah.
Because if it was me, I literally would, you know me, I like to say I just let things out of my mouth anyways, but
you?
know, I literally would have been like, everybody's cheering and I'm like, he's a lion? Like, just Michelle questioning things. But
Well, it was funny because we're watching the movie, and I mean, the joke of it is that he's the entire movie poster. Anything you see with this movie
Right.
is like
Yeah, it's
a
Aslan.
big old lion face, right? So you got this huge old lion, and
well,
then
it's
like,
called, the lion,
Wha-
the witch and the warlock.
Right. Yeah.
whatever.
That too.
And totally, then it takes you like 2 hours to see that he's a
Yeah.
lion.
You forget that there's a lion in this
I'm like,
movie.
come on,
And I
get
was
to
like-
the lion.
And like, all,
and then they kill him.
all of the animals like revere him so much. He could have been anything. He could have been a bear. He could have been a bald eagle. He could have been like a horse or something like that. He could have been a unicorn that Peter was riding on. He could have been Philip.
I didn't even know that Peter was riding a unicorn.
I didn't notice
Yeah,
it at
Peter
first
was
either.
riding a
And
unicorn. I
Luis is
pointed
like-
it out.
He's like, what'd you think that thing on his head was? I'm like, I didn't see
Didn't
it.
see
That
it.
was a white horse.
Yeah.
When he's telling him things and he's like something Steed and he's like, my name's Philip.
he's like, onward, horsey. He's like, my name's Philip. He's like, oh, sorry.
Well, and that's just Edmund's own problem. I mean, if all the other animals talk, why
Right.
wouldn't the horse
Yeah.
talk?
My
Hello.
name's Philip. Ridiculous.
I have a name, Edmund.
So they
Yeah.
get there and they go and save Edmund, and they were kind of like traitor at first, like they were going, like that centaur was gonna kill him, I guess. But they apparently he just talked to Aslan and it's in the past and everything's all good, fine and dandy. Which in my head seemed like it glazed over it too much. I'm like, it's not good, fine and dandy. He messed up, So the White Witch comes and says because of this deep magic, he's a traitor. Therefore, she gets his blood and gets to sacrifice him on the stone table.
Right.
That's where I needed more of like the backstory magic too. Like, okay, but
Right.
Oh, wow.
So it's really interesting because this whole, pretty much from this moment in the movie forward, I was getting so many biblical tones. I was like,
well, yes.
okie dokie now.
Well, and that's what this
Are-
book is.
Right, like
Yeah.
are we following the Bible? Like what is it?
Yes.
Just
Well, and I
happening
knew
here?
that. I remember that from reading it. Like the teachers talked about how it has like biblical references and like stuff like that because it does.
Right.
I was like, Aslan's Jesus now. Is he resurrected? I mean,
Well, and that
they
was
didn't have to wait 3 days, but
At least overnight.
They just needed the dawn.
Yeah.
Like, boom. But it's interesting because so what she was saying was that either you're on one side or you're on the other. Like there's no two ways about it. So if you
Traitor.
if you trade
trade sides.
You traitor.
if
If you betray.
thank you. If
He
you
went.
traitorize-
He decided he wanted to be on Aslan's side, but since he was on her side before, therefore he was a traitor to Aslan. Therefore, she gets the traitor and can kill him on the stone table.
Yes.
It was like a bit of a stretch to me. And then,
like pretty much if you betray Aslan, you're hers.
Right.
Pretty much.
but then
that's what
you
I
were
was
trying
getting.
to rule the place and told him that he had to. Yeah, it was weird. It's all her
Because you
fault.
a slippery snake, lady.
So I'm a snake.
Snake.
I'm a snake.
So because she's a snake, she goes in and makes a deal with Aslan, and very obviously,
Life for life.
very obviously, it was an eye for an eye.
And I didn't, and this is where the CGI really came in, because they were giving Aslan really sad face and sad eyes, and I didn't like that.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Because
he was walking.
I don't care about the humans dying, but you can't kill animals, don't you know?
Don't care.
Don't care.
Aslan,
Don't care. Yeah.
Apparently, they did a lot of work with Aslan and making sure that he looked good. Like they gave him like
Oh, yeah.
5.2 million hair fibers for his mane and stuff
I think
like
I
that.
read some ridiculous statistic that it took like 10 hours
to
for
like
a frame.
render and all of that good
Can
stuff.
you imagine?
Sounds about right.
That's why he wasn't in the movie very much.
Yeah, he's like,
Sorry,
hey,
Rob.
Sorry, we can't put
we
him in there
can't
that
show
much.
Aslan until at least an hour
So
and 14 minutes
they're
in.
all celebrating, thinking it's fine, and Aslan has to go to the stone table, and Lucy and
Susan.
Susan, I almost said Sarah again. They kind of walk him
No, it was
over,
Molly.
and
Molly
they
and
know
Sally.
something's going on. Also, Aslan is voiced by,
Liam
Liam
Neeson.
Neeson.
which is the best, by the way. I was like, oh, it's Liam Neeson. And it was, this is where I said the movie gets very violent and vivid, I think, even for a PG movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I
the
know
whole
it's
stone table
PG,
thing was extreme.
But
So-
I kept telling
scary.
Andre, like, this is borderline PG-13.
Like Aslan
because
walks up to like the dark forest where the stone table is, and there are just the grossest
ridiculing him.
creatures
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, that vampire bat thing was
The bat
woo.
is freaky, and his body was moving a lot.
as creepy as this whole scene was, man, the funniest part of this movie happens here.
What?
Let me just say it.
This is the elf,
he's
isn't it?
walking in here, he's like thinking, oh, I'm gonna die, and all these creatures are so ugly, so grotesque. And all of a sudden, her little minion's like, do you want some milk? Like, I kind of look at her and I'm like, the part of my language, like,
Because he's treating him like a kitty, like he's emasculating him, like he's not a big lion, he's a kitty. So
No,
he's
but
like,
like-
"Do you want some milk?"
but like, just
Better
picture
write
that
that down.
entire scene without that.
Right.
not have made
It's
a
just
difference.
darkness and
Would not have made a difference. So it just seems to me like he was like that one wannabe cool, like nerdy kid that hangs out with all these jocks, and they only keep him around because he does their homework.
Hey, babe,
like-
you gotta find a meme of this or something.
You want some milk?
I'm gonna just type in
It
milk.
made no sense to me.
I love how he just chimes in now.
No sense.
The best part is that Luis looks at me while we're watching this and we both start laughing. And I'm like, that question is asked so many times in this household because, I'm nursing this child. But in this movie, it is so weird.
Well, you get it. It's
So
because he's
now-
supposed to be a kitty.
Well, so for like 10 different times today, I've asked Olivia, do you want some milk?
You said it like that too because you saw the movie, huh?
So,
Oh my
anywho.
God.
That's hilarious.
It's too much. It's too much.
Oops. didn't
I
know
honestly
that.
don't remember the "Do you want some milk" thing until you guys just
Yeah, I had
fixated
forgot
on
about
it. So
too.
parent life right there.
You want some milk?
No, it was
Gross.
awful. It had no purpose at all.
Well, if you were nursing your kid while you were watching this movie, you would have said the same thing.
I would have said the same thing, yes. But the point is that this scene is like god awful horrible. They tie him up, they beat him up, and then she's like gonna kind of kill him, and she's like, "Wait, shave him."
Yeah,
and I
they
was like,
shave his
"Come
mane off.
on, this
Yeah.
is getting awful." But I get it's supposed to be like Jesus and the cross, and I get it. So, but I'm just saying the rating is PG, but it's like
was scary.
it's borderline because it freaked me out.
Oh,
I
it
can
was
only
scary.
imagine you take your 7-year-old kid to the movies because it's a
No.
movie and they're like, "Mom, what's going on?"
Well, I'm just
Like,
saying,
woo!
I was a very emotional kid, and this would have scarred me until I was 17.
Well, it did. My mom said that. I mean, it was 2005, so I was in middle school and I was bawling when Aslan died. So it's just it's not very kid friendly in my
Yeah.
opinion. And then from here on out, it's really not kid friendly because they kill Aslan, which is terrible because you literally see the light go out in his eyes, and I'm like, geez, this is kind of crazy.
It was intense.
And then they like go over to him and have to cry by his body, and I was like,
And they
"Oh."
stay there for
They stay there
The whole night.
entire night.
The entire night.
night.
They fall
It's
asleep
like
on him.
daytime
They
by the-
missed the battle.
They had to tell the trees that Aslan died
They
'cause
had to tell the trees.
they were very far away, so.
Tell the trees.
But then at this point, Peter, they don't really want to do all this war thing, but because Aslan died, it like sparks a thing in them. And I remember vividly as a kid, every single time I would watch this movie where Peter just yells, "For Narnia!" like with his sword. Nobody else remembers that as a kid. That stuck with me. Emily's looking at me like,
Well, I didn't
crazy.
watch it, so
Yeah.
no.
Awkward. Yeah, so they go to battle.
No, you want to know what's
Um,
awkward?
what?
Do you want some milk?
Don't say it like that. Luis is dying laughing. So the reason I like the whole battle scene is because I kind of get the full effect of like how many creatures are in this realm. So
The
this
Battle of the Five
realm,
Armies. No,
Yeah.
because I'm pretty
Yes.
sure this movie was
it's
remade
really
for The
like
Hobbit.
just creatures that live in this realm. And
Yes.
so I'm also wondering then, is the White Witch like a human? Because she's the only like quote unquote humanoid person in Narnia.
Yeah. I'm not
Like I know she's a
sure-
witch, but humans can be witches. You know what I mean? So
I'm not sure if, like in The Magician's Nephew, if it's explained that she was born of Narnia when like all the magic started, or if she like came in like with Professor Kirk or whatever as a kid and then turned into the White Witch later. I'm not sure. I didn't
Yeah.
read far enough.
and
into
it's
it.
weird because I'm realizing it that I'm saying out loud, but I think I didn't like fully understand the effect that like Narnia is basically all animals and like fantasy creatures.
yeah.
They're the only humans, so that's kind of crazy. But the battle scene is legit. Like it holds up to other
I thought it was done
fantasy.
very well.
The battle,
battle
scene is really
scenes.
cool. Honestly, like it's a great action set piece. When the griffins start dropping the boulders,
yes.
oh baby, yes.
Yeah, and they're
Super-
crunching on them too.
I was very surprised at that. Like when he like Peter gives his charge, and here come the griffins, and here come the other birds. I was like, okay, we
Yeah.
got strategies, you little 14-year-old boy.
Right,
Good
yeah.
for you.
I know, that's what I kept saying the whole time. Like when Peter and the White Witch are fighting each other, you can tell how much he's just a teenager because he's just swiping in the air
He's
so much with
flailing
his
that
sword. He
sword.
like doesn't know how to fight, and she looks like a ninja, right? She's like, and has her little sword thingy. So I was like,
Let's be real.
You're a
She
little
should have gotten
boy.
him dead. Real
Yeah, she
fast.
probably-
yeah,
should've.
that's where some of this stuff was
Chopped
a
off some
stretch for
kneecaps.
me. And also, like, is weird to me that she doesn't really kill things. She just turns them to stone. But while she's turning them to stone, they become a stone in her castle, and they can be awakened.
See, I'm not sure if that's true. I think
No?
I think
You
the,
think Aslan's just magic?
Well, no, I think that the ones that were in her castle were there from when she originally froze
Yeah.
everything.
No.
When she originally created the White Winter, and then she added to it. Like she put Tumnus in there,
No.
but she actually physically had him.
That
in
was
her
my
castle.
impression.
No, because she went fling on the centaur, and then it flashed to the castle
And
because
it-
they were going to the castle, and it was that centaur.
But I think it was a different centaur.
No, because he went and he got all of those people from the battle, and then they came and they
See,
were
I
battling.
was under the impression, like, well, Andre's saying that, like, maybe it was like the original battle.
No.
And she just froze them all.
Because
I
like,
didn't think
because
so.
okay, so it cuts to the castle and you see the frozen centaur in there, but then when you cuts back to the battle, there's a frozen centaur on the battlefield. Like it didn't disappear. And then you see a couple other times where she freezes something and then like breaks it on the battlefield there.
Okay, maybe.
I don't think it necessarily transports back
So
to
do
her.
you think that if it's broken, it can't be resurrected,
Yeah,
right?
I
That's
think
what I'm
probably.
assuming. Because that poor little fox
Yeah.
just never came back.
I
He
know.
toasty. He did.
Man.
Yeah.
I like
I
that
wonder about
fox.
the badger that's still chilling, that never got breathed on.
Well, I think, after the battle's over,
I think they kind
Do
of
you
went
think he's just
around
go around
Narnia.
Narnia, breathing. Yeah, that's why he was walking
Well,
on the beach
and
at the
Lucy
end.
was using her little drops, her drip, drip, drop.
Oh, her drippity drops.
Were the
drip,
drip drops working on the frozen ones?
Yeah,
thought
she
it-
went
Oh,
around.
okay.
Oh, I thought it was only working on,
No,
like,
she was doing the
deadies.
wounded.
Right.
The
Okay,
wounded.
yeah. The wounded.
Oh, so the deadies are just dead, though.
Yeah, I think the daddies.
So
are dead.
Edmund kind of redeems himself during this battle scene. Peter tells him to fall back. Edmund doesn't want to fall back. He ends up getting stabbed by the White Witch.
He sees the White Witch is about to attack Peter, right? And then he runs up on her, destroys her ice wand, and
Which
then,
is cool.
And then she stabs him. So
And
yes,
she stabs him good.
oh yeah, she guts him like a fish. But yeah, that's his big redemption moment where he attempts to take out the white witch.
I mean, and he does a decent job. I mean, that was her number one like weapon.
Yeah.
I mean, that was her most formidable weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she's pretty cool with the sword.
That's
but
cool.
She's pretty cool with
And
them
then
swords.
the best is like I didn't realize that they basically just had to kill the White Witch and it was over. So when Aslan comes back, he just chomps on her.
Yeah, he makes a beeline toward the white witch and just bites her head off, I guess. I don't know. But
He kills
eats her,
kills
and
her,
she
dude.
did.
He chomps on her because he kind of looks at her and her eyes are like pleading like nah, and he's like okay, so you got chomped on.
Yep, and then that's that.
That's that.
Battle's
War's
over.
over.
You
They
wanna
get
know
some
the
kingdoms.
most confusing part was that like Peter's looking at Aslan after she dies, and there's like people rushing by them super fast. And
Yes.
he's like, "It is finished."
Yeah, that was.
And
weird.
I was like, are those supposed to be like the spirits or something? And I think it was supposed to be like an ethereal moment of like, there's all this chaos and like you can only hear him.
Right, yeah.
But it also felt like there was something going on. So I was,
it was the weird.
you know, I was like more focused on like these spirity things running by. I don't
right.
know.
Yeah, that was a weird shot.
It was weird.
Anywho,
So they get.
unnecessary.
I thought that there was like 4 kingdoms in this place, but I don't think there's 4 kingdoms. They just each get like a different part of the land,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
So like Peter the Magnificent he's the king of the sky.
Of the north.
Of the north, you know, the sky or whatever. So they kind of each get
Because the north is the sky. You go, girl.
they get a different part of the land.
Yeah,
But
I
they
think-
all rule Narnia, which is interesting to me because I thought Aslan was the king of Narnia, but he just bounces at the end. He's like, hey, you guys don't need me anymore. He's like Dumbledore hardcore.
He's like, it
Yeah.
takes way too much CGI time
Yeah.
for me to be on screen.
Bye. I'm gonna
Need
be
to
far
go.
away.
He Dumbledored. He was like, did my deed. Goodbye.
Double doored.
So
Okay, so you want to talk? Okay, I know there's more to the story because the most interesting thing, the whole thing happens like in 2 seconds.
Yes.
But I have a problem
okay.
with this movie.
Yes.
One of my major problems: the music
Oh.
is not epic enough.
What? There was like a total Latin song going on during the battle scene. It was like, and I was like, oh, what's going on?
Is that Latin?
There's
Yeah.
some epic music, but
It wasn't epic enough though. Like I
sure.
feel like for what
I thought the battle song was good.
the music was done by Harry Gregson Williams, who you'll know from the score of Shrek, Shrek 2,
yes.
Shrek the Third, and Shrek Ever After.
Well, I'll be honest. Shrek's was more epic. And it was kind of reminiscent of that, but it didn't get quite as epic.
This person, Harry Gregson Williams, is also going to be doing the music for the live-action Mulan.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's interesting.
no.
Well,
I mean, we'll see. I mean, he might have gotten better since.
it wasn't awful. Don't get me
2005.
wrong. There was some really cool parts of the music, but I feel like there was like moments where it should have been like super dramatic, and it
Right.
just was not hitting that
Fell a little
plateau.
flat.
Why Andre was singing, oh, sorry.
Yeah, if you have to add your own music in, it's pretty obvious that it's not good enough.
Yeah.
But-
I agree. Because,
Fair.
I mean, I think about most fantasy movies, like all fantasy movies, have a score that you can, like, recite from memory. And,
Like,
and
you
this
can
didn't.
sing Harry Potter to someone or sing the score of Harry Potter,
Right.
and people will be
Do,
like,
do, 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 do. And people know.
Yeah.
You know?
well, same thing with like Lord of the Rings.
Star
I feel like some people
Wars
will be
and-
like, I don't even know. It's the wizard thing.
Yeah.
And the dwarfs. I
Yeah,
don't
you
know.
just, like, know. Lord of the Rings has a lot of, like,
See? Even Indiana Jones. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're right.
I
This
think we
didn't-
just named like 4 John Williams.
John Williams,
properties.
everything.
John
Welcome,
Williams, Johnny boy.
I love Williams.
Yeah. Well, you know, it was okay though.
And then the most interesting part of this whole movie happens right after this.
Yeah,
They
the fact
become-
that they didn't go home and they just stayed.
Oh well, I suppose.
Weird.
They get crowned.
Mhm.
They stay for years and years and years
For
and years and
years.
years.
Yeah, they're like,
Because they become young adults. I mean,
yeah.
They're probably in their late 20s, early 30s, maybe.
early 30s.
I think like late 20s, early 30s, and then Lucy seems like she's like 18 maybe now. You know?
Yep. So they grow up.
Yeah.
They've
been ruling the kingdom.
Grows up to the horse.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah,
He's
poor
old.
Philip.
And they make their way back through the wardrobe, like having.
But they act like they don't remember that happened. They're like, "What's this
Well,
about the
that's-
lamppost?" And like,
well, that's why I think that they're much older than that. I think it's been like 100 years or something.
Yeah, like maybe they don't age as.
Yeah, because
yeah.
like, why would they not remember the lamppost? Like, it didn't happen.
Well,
Right.
it's just weird to me that they didn't even like we don't get to see that really, but I guess that they were just like, "Cool, we're gonna stay here."
We got
Like
a
they
king-
didn't
we
want
got
to
a
go
kingdom
back,
rule.
and they just didn't like really care. I'm like, "What about your mom?" You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
So then, interestingly enough, they fall back through the wardrobe the other way, and they're instantly back as children,
Like
having-
moments after they left.
moments after they left,
Yeah.
having been chased through the house by what they thought was the housekeeper because they threw the ball through the window.
Right, yeah.
But it was really the
professor, and he's like, "Did you have a good time?" Basically, and he's like, "How was it?" You know, and so they try to tell him, and they try to get back through the wardrobe, but find out that they can't.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
Lucy's trying to go back, and so he said that he's been trying to figure out how to do that as well. So that's kind of interesting. Like, maybe I was gonna say maybe you can only enter there and back one way, but they definitely went back and forth
Yeah.
a couple times. But I think it was all like within a relative small amount of time.
Yeah, so I find this to be a very complete story. You know, it tells the whole tale beginning to end, and it ends in a pretty good way.
self-contained, Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that them going back to Narnia outside of a wardrobe is the only reason why I would want to watch a sequel. But I don't think I ever did watch any of the sequels.
I think I
might have
watched
read-
the next one, but I don't really remember it. I did not see Prince Caspian.
Louis
the
said
third
that
one.
he watched at least the second, maybe. Louis, did you watch the second and third one?
I think I'm pretty sure I watched all of them.
And he said that he liked the other ones better than this one. So,
Well, there was only 3, and then they stopped.
well,
Yes.
they're talking about making the other one. The
I
silver
believe they're going
Oh.
to be
Chair-
making
chair of some sort.
an Amazon series based off of the
Oh,
Chronicles.
there you go.
The Netflix series.
Netflix. No, but they're talking about making the next movie
Oh, really?
so many years later.
Yeah.
Come on. What is up with sequels? And then, but they're making a Netflix thing that was announced in October
Oh, okay.
of last year.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I'll watch it.
There'll be more.
Netflix
All
has
right.
been doing kind of just everything
Stuff.
and been working it like hardcore. So I feel like it'll be good.
Yeah. Especially with Disney Plus coming out soon. Netflix is trying to bust out a bunch of stuff.
Right.
All right.
Let's talk money. What money you got for us?
Yeah, so despite Louise liking all 3 of them, and the second one's more than this one earned absolutely the most money out of all 3 of them.
Oh, I'm sure.
It had a budget of $180 million. It had a domestic gross of $291 million and an overall worldwide gross of $745 million.
Wow.
So it made near a billion bucks.
Well, and am I incorrect in saying I feel like I read this somewhere that this specific book is like almost on every
Like
version of a top
bestseller.
10 bestseller
Yeah.
of all time.
It's very
so
And I
it's-
think because it can appeal to so many ages
right.
as well.
So it's a revered story.
Yeah.
So when you have a story that good, like you assume that people are going to watch it. Plus you add on the fantasy factor. Plus
Oh,
you add
yeah.
on the fact it was made by Disney, especially during that time period.
Right.
I feel like, I mean, if you mess it up, you mess it up, obviously. But
Yeah.
people are going to
Yeah.
go watch it.
Like
for
I said,
sure.
I really liked it. I watched this movie a bunch as a kid. Like, we owned it.
right.
So, it was
Yeah,
good.
the sequels. I believe the second one had a higher budget of like $225 million, but it only brought in like $400 million worldwide. And then the third one, I think they reduced the budget, but it still only made like $400 million. So that's probably why they did not continue
Yeah,
with the
probably
series,
not.
because they were
Yeah.
seeing diminishing returns and whatnot.
People were, watching those final Harry Potter movies.
yeah, they got their attention was elsewhere. On Rotten Tomatoes, It has a 76% certified fresh, and the audience score is 61%. So not too shabby
All right.
itself. I believe people liked it at the time, and on IMDb it has a 6.9 out of 10.
Okay.
So yeah, generally liked.
It's a good movie.
Yes.
Luis, what are you going to give this movie?
I'm gonna give it a 8.5. I liked it a lot more as a young child, but it wouldn't be a 10 for me just because I guess the lore of it is lost to me as an adult. But as a child, I still remember really, really liking it. So 8.5.
Interesting. I think I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I liked it a lot. It's well worth a watch for sure. I'd watch it again, but there were some things that I didn't love. Like I think sometimes when the kids were just by themselves in scenes, the acting wasn't that strong. Like I felt that they were individually much stronger when they were paired with an adult, either with the Beavers or with the White Witch or with Aslan.
Yeah, I feel like Susan barely says a word most of the time.
Yeah, Susan didn't do much for me.
Susan didn't do much for the story. We could have had a we could have had a 3-character.
Lucy did the most for the story.
Yeah.
For real.
Lucy
Well,
was-
no, don't worry. Edmund did quite a bit.
Yeah,
He just
Edmund-
did crap for the story.
Yes.
Actually, Peter didn't do much either. He was just bossing people around. the
No,
whole
Peter
time.
didn't do much either.
Just boss baby.
So yeah.
Boss baby. We could have just had the good kid and the bad kid. It would have been fine. You only need 2.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this movie an 8. I think it's good. It holds up for me. I still think it's like a very like Emily said, it's a good story, therefore it can be made into a good movie type of thing, but it still had some whimsy to me. Yes, it was slow in parts and it wasn't like as cool as I thought it was when I was a kid.
It's a little long.
But I think it holds up pretty well, and it's like a good transitional movie into a fantasy world. Like I feel like if I have a 12-year-old kid who's like kind of into fantasy stuff, I would show them this movie and then show them Harry Potter, you know, like
Yeah, I mean,
have them read these and then Harry Potter, and then we'll get to the Lord of the Rings.
even younger, like if your kid can handle a little bit of violence, I think that this could go well for like
Yeah.
an 8 or a 10-year-old.
That was my I said I had one gripe with this movie, and it was just that I thought it was too violent for a PG movie. I was like, "Oi." But yeah, 8 out of 10. I think it's good. Emily.
I think without the sacrifice scene,
It would have been
like
okay.
a kid of
Yeah.
really any age watch
That
it.
was
Sure.
just what got to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like we were watching it and Addie was in the room and I kept like saying, Addie, look at me. Addie, look at me. Because I
Hey,
was like,
don't look at all
I'm
the-
really afraid of this vampire
creatures,
bat thing.
yeah.
And
Like,
honestly,
that's
I
Ugh.
feel like
scary.
Addie would have been like, "Oh, yeah, like they understand that kind of stuff."
Oh yeah, well, and she was like watching Aslan, and she was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Oh god, that's gonna traumatize my baby."
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I really enjoyed it. It was cool that it was my first time watching it, and I didn't remember the story
Right.
other than they went to Narnia.
Yeah, that's it.
Narnia.
Wardrobe,
I know they
lion,
went
witch.
I know those pieces, but that's probably the end of it. But no, I enjoyed it. I really liked James McAvoy,
Yeah,
however
Professor
you say
X,
his name.
Professor Tumnus.
Yeah,
Professor Tumnus.
I'm just so overwhelmed by his acting because he plays like really good characters no matter what the crazy character
True.
is.
No matter what the genre.
Can be
Yeah.
a fawn, I guess. and he's
Seriously.
still good.
And he like cried a lot in this movie and
Yeah.
didn't like annoy me. 'Cause I don't mean to be like sexist, but sometimes when men cry it bothers me. But for some reason he did like a really good job without being sappy.
Yeah.
But anywho,
You should watch Wanted with him and Angelina Jolie.
Oh, that's Louis told. Oh no, I have seen that
yeah.
movie.
That one's very interesting.
Ooh, yes.
It's where they take candle wax baths.
Yes, to heal themselves. It's interesting. It's based off of a comic book actually.
Yeah, I actually.
But it's rated R.
I've seen that. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, pretty much everything I've seen him in, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I liked him in this movie. I liked all the adult actors were all good in
Yeah.
this movie. The only thing I would have liked to know is like, did they go back home to their mom at some point?
Right,
That would
yeah.
have been really nice because it
Stayed
was
at that castle
kind of
forever.
heartbreaking that in the first 5 minutes we're taken away from mommy.
Yeah, taken away from mom and then
Did Dad
go
ever
into
come
a
back?
magical world where you spend either 25 or 105 years, and then you go back and then the war is still going on. They've only been there for like a week at that house.
Maybe
So,
like 3 days. I don't even
Yeah,
know.
Yeah, only like a couple days, I think.
I haven't seen
Do they
mom or dad in
And
forever.
the first thing I thought to myself is, do they remember all 30 years in the wardrobe? And now they're like adults in kid bodies? Like, that's really
I
weird.
was saying,
No,
like,
I think they are.
if I had to go through puberty again, I'd be so mad. I'm like, get me back in this wardrobe. Goodbye, professor.
So mad. Anywho, 7.5. It was really good. I would probably watch it again. Kind of interested in watching the sequels.
I kind of am too. I was
We'll
thinking
see.
I might.
I'm not saying it's going to be great, but I'm kind of interested just to know where the story goes.
But I'm
Right.
also one of those people, like, if I know there's multiple movies, I need the complete picture.
Yeah.
So, like, I just, for that reason, I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
let's watch them.
I
sounds good.
honestly just
Truth.
need to know how they get back to Narnia. Like, I'll start the second
What's
one.
the second one called? The second book?
Second one is Prince Caspian. The
Well.
third one is The Voyage of the Dawn Treader.
Oh,
Well,
my.
I don't know.
Boat.
A little
big
boat
boat.
stuff.
Yeah.
They get there somehow.
hmm
Next movie we are doing
Yes.
is
Oh, we have other
another
movies?
another animal movie,
We have another animal.
but
movie?
no lions,
Tigers.
no tigers,
Bears?
only
No bears.
dogs. Maybe there's a cat in it.
I think there's some cats. Oh,
Are
yeah.
they
there-
Siamese?
Yeah,
We are
Siamese, yeah. We'll have to discuss that.
Siamese,
Yes.
please.
Next time, we will be talking about the 1955 animated film Lady and the Tramp.
Ooh, I'm excited. I haven't seen
He's
this
a
movie
tramp.
in forever, and I like dogs. Dogs are cute.
Especially when they're eating spaghetti together. That's all I remember about
And I
this
like
movie.
Belanote. Well, I mean, that's the same.
Yes.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore.
Yeah, I love the moon and pizza.
What? Delicious. Yes. So, our next
do like-
episode is going to be Lady and the Tramp. We're pretty excited about it. Let us
Yes.
know if you are.
Yes, exactly. Leave comments on the post and the Instagram, on all the places. You can find us at the Walt Vault Pod on all of our social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you if you've recently liked the page on Facebook. I saw that we got
Yes.
a fair amount of new likes on there. So leave comments. Let us know what you thought about the movie. Give us your rating and what you thought of how terrible Edmund was. Or if you're not on social media, you can send an email to contact@thewaltvaultpod.com. We'll read your message on the show. I love getting emails. I don't get them often. Send them to me. You can find us on all of the podcast platforms. We are on YouTube, Google Play, iTunes, Stitcher, and now we are on Spotify. So if you're listening on Spotify, give us a shout out on social media. Let us know
Spotify.
that you found us there. We thank you for following, subscribing, liking, reviewing. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna wreck it.
Hit the notification bell so you know when we post new episodes. We post new episodes every other Monday. You can also help us out by joining our Patreon. We are on patreon.com/The Walt Vault. There you can get access to our after show, The Crack in the Vault. I post my notes. I've been playing Kingdom Hearts 3 and posting gameplay videos of that and featuring all the Disney worlds. And if you sign up at the $5 or more level, we'll send you a gift in the mail. Isn't that fun? That's fun. All right, you guys, thank you so much for being with us this week on the Walt Vault. That's it for now. We'll see you next time. The vault is now closed.